Hi everyone, this is Matthew Nunes and welcome to EGS 301, Writing and the Professions. So in this video I'm going to tell you a little bit about the class, show you around our Canvas page, really just a really quick overview, just like we might do if we were in the classroom on the first day of class. And of course when you open our Canvas page, this is what you're going to see. And we have the handy to-do list over on the right, although these don't always appear in the correct order if there's more than one thing in one day. And of course the easy links here to the syllabus and modules and my contact information here. So you may be familiar with online courses at Miami, so that's good. You make be a smoother transition. But if you're not, make sure that you are take some time to explore Canvas, how it's set up. And of course, every Canvas page can be set up a little bit differently depending on the class. So you do want to be familiar with where everything is. So the syllabus is the first place to start. We can either follow the link here, or there's also linked to over here on the left-hand menu. And then the syllabus is listed here. I have the entire thing pasted in here on Canvas, but if you would like to print out a copy instead, because this is a long document, then you can go and click this link. It'll take you to a Google Doc version of the syllabus, and you can print it from there. But for now, I'll just stay on this page as I talk through a few elements of the syllabus I wanted to call your attention to. So first, of course, I have just some general information about myself here, so you can get to know who I am. And of course, my dog is my unofficial teaching assistant. She often sits under my desk while I teach, or rather while I grade. And of course, I do have a little video introduction, video interview, so you can get a chance to know a bit more about me. So I do have my contact information here during this semester. I will be having office hours on Mondays and Wednesdays from 11 to 12:30. That is, during those hours, I will actually be at my office in Middletown. But if you need, if you're not on the campus or just want to set up a meeting by video, we can absolutely do that. I'll always try to be available during those times, but I also can be available at other times and days as well if something else works better for you. And of course, email is always a great way to get a hold of me. I do check my email very frequently and try to get back to you in a timely manner. So I do have information about my department here and information about the course. And just kind of the brief idea here, this course is really building on some of the skills that you may have developed in English and English Studies courses, and particularly be thinking about how those types of skills apply to non-academic professions, that is outside of school, really. And so we're going to be thinking about various concepts and how we can apply them as we focus particularly on how do we approach really solving real problems in the world, solving a real complex problem. And of course, this is an advanced writing course as well. So we do have quite a bit of writing to do in this course. This course is a course called Writing in the Profession. So we will be having several writing projects and lots of informal writing assignments as well. So I'm going to let you read through the description more thoroughly on your own here. But if you scroll down here, I want to call your attention to a few more things. Of course, we have our learning outcomes. And of course, this is an experiential learning course. And there are various ways that experiential learning courses meet that requirement. In our case, for this class, your final project that you are leading up to and kind of really working on for the entire semester is going to be presented in a public forum. Now, obviously, we don't actually have a class meeting for this class since it's all online, but we'll be finding a public platform for your final project so that we can reach an audience beyond this course. So this way, it's not just a matter of the work you do in this course stays in this course, but rather you're working up toward a project, your final presentation, which will be have a more public audience. And so I can have some more details about that later, but I didn't want to call your attention to that now. Also, for the required materials for this class, there is no textbook to buy. Really, all of the class materials are provided on our Canvas site, which is great. I would just say, though, that if you are somebody who prefers to read a printed copy, you'll just be responsible for making sure you print anything that you'd like to read rather than reading it on the computer, because it is a lot of hours in front of the screen. So the quick overview of the assignments here. Remember, of course, I will be leaving feedback on your assignments, and so you do want to be checking back on that. Your email might be set up so that you get email notifications when I leave feedback, or if not, just double check after something is graded. The general breakdown of it is that we have the final project. The final multimodal project is really a video presentation. That's 20% of the grade. There are course participation, quizzes, other activities, lots of discussion activities. That's 50% of the grade because that is a lot of work we do in this course. But we also have a couple of short essays, and that is 30% of the course grade. And of course, so make sure you pay attention to the getting your work submitted on time. I have the late attendance policy here, as mentioned. You can read this through more thoroughly, but really the key is turn in your work on time. If you anticipate not being able to turn something in on time, something comes up, you're sick, whatever, contact me, right? That is the professional thing to do. If you were missing work, you would call your boss or contact them to let them know you wouldn't come. Similarly, for a class, you want to stay in contact with me to make sure that, if you can't get something done on time, that you can be in touch with me and we can make other arrangements. And if, I do grant extensions if the circumstances call for that. So definitely reach out to me. The grading scale is summarized here. I'll let you read through a lot of this on your own. The schedule is really kept on Canvas. If you go to the modules page, you'll see everything that's the date listed in there. A few other things, if you scroll down here toward the academic integrity policy, you've probably heard this one before. But really the key is that all your work for this class does need to be your own work, something that you wrote yourself for this class. So without the aid of anybody else, without using sources, without citing them. So you want to make sure you're citing all sources, but also adding to that, the use of generative AI is also not allowed in this class. So maybe you've been familiar with ChatGPT or some of the others out there, and they can be fun tools to use. And so, in fact, in the workplace and maybe in the future, they could be a tool for you. But in academic purposes, it is considered a form of academic dishonesty if you're using something like that to do your work for you, or even parts of it. So to simplify everything, the use of generative AI is not allowed at all for this class. Please, just make sure all of your work is your own. And then no worries. It's a lot of trouble for me and for you to go through the whole process of into academic integrity hearing and everything that is involved with that. So I just want to make sure that is called to your attention. So I have all these other policies here, very exciting to read. I'll let you read this on your own. But you can see at the bottom here is the course summary that is going to show you when everything is due. If sometimes there are multiple things listed on a day because I have it so that each page on Canvas actually should be showing up in your to-do list so that you don't miss it, such as a page with readings you should be going through, as well as the assignments that are due for certain days. If you get a chance to look through this, you'll start seeing that really for the most part, we're going to be following a Tuesday, Thursday schedule for the class as far as when assignments are due. You will see, of course, things like Friday and Wednesday where something's due, but it is listed, but it's really just when the replies to classmates on a certain discussion activity are due. So usually replies are going to be due 24 hours after the discussion post is due, but you're welcome to do them on the same day. But really the main assignments are due Tuesdays and Thursdays during the semester. So that way we can get kind of a rhythm for the class, some regularity, some predictability. And then of course you can be scheduling your time accordingly with that in mind, realizing these are generally the days something is due and how much time does it take to do these assignments. So, but let's go ahead and take a look at the modules though. So just give you a quick overview of some of the things we'll be covering. Again, I'm going to be going into a lot more depth as we proceed with the class, and I'll be sending out regular announcements to you with more details, explanations, notes, answering questions as they come up as well. So first, of course, we have Module 0. Module 0 is really a much more of an introductory module. You might be familiar with how these work from other online courses. And of course, we're going to be getting through this pretty quickly. So, initially we have a syllabus quiz and introduction, which are due almost immediately on Tuesday, and followed by a discussion on complex problems that you find interesting, because one thing you'll be doing throughout the course is focusing on a particular complex problem. And so this is where what you'll be doing is you need to identify a complex problem that you find interesting, particularly that might relate to your career interests. And you'll be focusing on that throughout the rest of the semester as we approach and figure out, well, how do we apply these skills from English studies to approaching and solving such problems and understanding such problems. And so you going to be identifying that problem right away at the beginning of the semester. But we do have a discussion activity right up front to brainstorm ideas first, so that you can have a chance to kind of think through several ideas before you make your final decision. And your final decision on that would then be due the very beginning of our second week at the end of Module 0, but that overlaps with our start of Module 1. And Module 1, a liberal arts education, English studies, and writing. So here we're thinking about how the principles of a liberal arts education, what those principles are, how they're applicable to you. And of course, those really relate well to the skills you gain in English studies courses, and thinking about not just, well, what do I, how do I use this in school, but how is this applicable outside of school in particular, and when approaching and solving real world issues. And so, that's going to be the general focus of this module. There are other things in there as well. We're going to be thinking about particular professions as well, different career paths. And so, I'll be explaining as we go, of course, but, that's the immediate focus of that. There's no major project for that first module. But in the second module, applying English studies skills, we're going to be building on that further and thinking of some additional elements to be considered, certain different skills in English studies could be applied, including close reading, the idea of multimodality, using multiple modes in communication. We have some different interesting materials on that, visual design, all of the elements of that. And we'll be leading all that up to our first essay, where you will actually be thinking about, how is it we can use multiple modes, how can we use visual design to effectively reach an audience in a way that we this can be effective, right? Not just through text, but by using more than one mode to do that. We see that all the time, of course, in media that we encounter. Then after that, we'll be moving on to Module 3, Exploring Complex Problems. This is where we're going to be building on our exploration of the complex problem that you're focusing on, but also just thinking about problem solving itself. How can we approach solving such problems? And our fourth one is on storytelling. This is a lot of fun. This might be my favorite module. Where we're thinking about some principles of storytelling, which, of course, if you've ever taken an English course before, if you're an English studies major or minor, perhaps, you've encountered storytelling just through literature, but it also actually applies to you as a professional, where in your professional space, you are involved with organizational storytelling or narrative, corporate storytelling. And so those are actually quite interesting to think about how such skills of storytelling can be applied. And so that's going to be that focus of this module. And then finally, in the last module, is addressing complex problems. This is where you're really going to bring everything together with everything you've been focusing on with the complex problem that you choose, and culminate in a final video presentation at the end of the semester, which, again, is also really fun. I really enjoy those. It's one of my other favorite elements of the course. All right, so I'm going to leave it at that for now, though. So I'm going to let you explore this on your own. Make sure you read through that syllabus thoroughly to make sure you have a good understanding of the policies and what the course is all about. Feel free to explore the modules. They're all published, so you can see what's coming up, so you can see the timeline of everything as well. And of course, if you have any questions as you do any of that, make sure you do let me know. And of course, I will be sending out regular updates to you throughout the semester, every week, sometimes more than once a week, to make sure everybody's staying on track, knows what's going on, and of course, just to help address anything that comes up. All right, look forward to working with all of you this semester.